Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranchana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranchana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Jai Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. It's okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nasta Praesho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Canto 4. Sorry.
This is 4?
This is 4. Canto 5. Maybe I have it. It's okay. Do we have 5th canto here? 512, yeah. I don't have my internet on the phone also.
5th canto is not here. So I thought this is...
Okay. Can I have someone's... Let me check in my books. Fifth canto. Jagannath Baleswara Mai ki jai, Shri Gaurnitai ki jai. Okay, I got it. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Text 2. Okay. If you have your phone, maybe you could follow, otherwise I can just read. Okay. Nanunam mukta sanganam tadrishanam dvijar shabha griheshva abhinivesho yam pumsam bhavitum arhati. Nanunam mukta sanganam tadrishanam dvijar shabha grihesh avinivesho yam pumsam bhavitum arhati. Nanunam mukta sanganam tadrashnam dvijar shabha grihesh avinivesho yam pumsam bhavitum arhati. Word for word. Na, not. Nunam, certainly. Maybe you can repeat. Mukta sanganam, who are free from attachment. Tadrasanam, such. Dvijar Shabha, O greatest of the Brahmanas. Grihesu, to family life. Abhiniveshaha, excessive attachment. Ayam, this, pumsam, of persons, bhavitum, to be, arhati, is possible. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be observed in family affairs. Purport. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that by executing devotional service to the Lord, one can understand the transcendental position of the living being and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood by any means except bhakti. The Lord confirms this in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-21. Bhaktya mam ekaya grahya. Only by executing devotional service can one appreciate me. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Lord Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Simply by discharging devotional service, one can understand me. Thus, for a bhakta to be attached to family affairs is impossible, since a bhakta and his associates are liberated. Everyone is searching after ananda or bliss, but in the material world, there can never be any bliss. It is only possible in devotional service. Attachment for family affairs and devotional service are incompatible. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was somewhat surprised to hear that Maharaj Priyavrata was simultaneously attached to devotional service and to family life. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayham Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadbhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sa. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataruvescha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine. Hare Krishna. So I've been asked to speak something on the canto we just started. So we started it yesterday. It's the 5th canto. And the day before yesterday, Damodar Prasad Prabhu, he gave some overview of how the Srimad Bhagavatam, how the conversation actually starts and how it trickles down to different conversations within conversations. And I was just thinking how there are two types of presentations. Someone can just speak to you. It's called a monologue, right? And then there is two persons speaking. It's called a dialogue. And most of what we read, scriptures, it's in a form of a conversation. So I was appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam in a way because I had a professor in the university once, and he was a good atheist, and he would say temples, churches, places of worship, they are very dangerous place. Why they are dangerous is because there is one person speaking to the mass, and then nobody is allowed to question that person. He was saying this. So in such a setting where people cannot question, then that presentation becomes dangerous. That was his point. But I was thinking that that's not our tradition. We are actually encouraged to have conversation and question everything. Actually, that is the core part of our process. Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So he says, you approach a spiritual master and you inquire submissively. And I learned a little from Hridayananda Maharaj. From his lectures, he said, Prashnena, it's not just prashnena. Prashna is question. And pariprashna is, you say like parikrama is going round. So pariprashna is, you question from all different angles. So we have this pari, we have words like perimeter, that also comes from pari. And we have periphery, that comes from the word pari. So pariprashna, parikrama, it's the same root. So pariprashna is you question from different angles. And so that's Srimad Bhagavatam. And the speaker is not just speaking, but is also considering the audience. Right? So who is the audience? And so in a conversation that's important to consider who the audience is. Nowadays we have podcasts, it's quite popular, and people listen. It's a strange thing because 30-second videos also are quite popular. You have TikTok videos, they get millions of views. And then you have 4 hours long podcasts, which also are very popular. So people appreciate genuine conversations when they are real. So Srimad Bhagavatam, it's the original conversation, the most genuine conversation, the Amala Purana. So yesterday Prabhu started the first verse, and so Maharaj Priyavrata, he's the brother of Uttanapad, whom I think we discussed quite a lot in the 3rd canto. So in this particular verse we can just go through the purport of what Srila Prabhupada is referring to. So the first point he mentions is the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood by bhakti. So I was just in the spirit of questioning, I was just thinking, so bhakti is, Srila Prabhupada, he translates as devotional service. So we can say bhakti is the yoga of love and devotion, right? So why is Krishna pleased with only bhakti and let's say not other types of yoga? I was just thinking, maybe we can brainstorm a little bit. Why is Krishna pleased by bhakti? Yeah.
So one answer is that he has everything and everything is property, but the only thing he wants is the love and devotion of his devotees. ourselves. So that's actually the only thing Krishna doesn't.
He doesn't have, that's why he wants.
Yeah.
That's your, okay.
So he's complicated.
Any other answers? Prabhu, would you like to comment something? No. Yeah, I was thinking, like what you shared, Krishna needs love. And I was thinking, because he's a person. He's not... That's what Srila Prabhupada taught us, that Krishna is a person. So... And when you have a person, you have relationship. You cannot have a relationship with something that's not a person. So, when you want to understand someone, you can approach the person in many ways. You can go up to the person, suppose I want to, let's say, know a lot about Dina Prabhu. And then I can go up to him and I can ask about his life. Where was he born? What does he like? What color does he like? Prepare a list of questions. And then I can ask him. But then at one point I think he will get irritated. But if I become a nice friend, then he will reveal his heart one day. So similarly, we can approach Krishna by Jnana Yoga. We can try our best to know about him from different sources. We can try to analyze. But Krishna is not pleased in that way. But when a devotee renders some kind of loving service to Krishna, then Krishna is pleased and then he reveals himself. So that is the unique position of Bhakti Yoga, is that Srila Prabhupada, he explains in the Nectar of Devotion that Bhakti Yoga is, Krishna becomes, so to say, in debt to the devotee, to the pure devotee. I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita and I came across a nice verse that I'd like to quickly read. It explains how Krishna tells the gopis that I cannot reciprocate much. You have so much of devotion, I'm in debt to you now. So let me just read. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stadhaiva bhajamyaham. So as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. And everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. And this is Madhya Leela 8, chapter 8, text 92. And this is a conversation between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this conversation also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Ramananda Rai to reveal more about Krishna consciousness in a way, to go deeper. And this is towards the end. And he says, in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-22, it is said that Lord Krishna cannot proportionately reciprocate devotional service in the Madhurya Ras. Therefore, he always remains a debtor to such devotees. Continuing, when the gopis were overwhelmed with dissatisfaction due to Lord Krishna's absence from the Rasa Leela, Krishna returned to them and told them, my dear gopis, our meeting is certainly free of all material contamination. I must admit that in many lives it would be impossible for me to repay my debt to you, because you have cut off the bondage of family life just to search for me. Consequently, I am unable to repay you. Therefore, please be satisfied with your honest activities in this regard. So Krishna becomes purchased by pure devotional service. When Nrsimhadev appears And he's so pleased with Prahlad Maharaj. He says, "What do you want?" And Nrsimhadev, he says, "I'm not a businessman. So I'm here to please you. I don't need anything." And at that point, Krishna does not know what to do. He wants to give so many things. He wants to give pleasure to the devotees, but then the devotee says, "I don't want anything." At one point, I think Srila Prabhupada, he mentions, there is a competition between the devotees and the Lord, and they are trying to please each other. And in that competition, the devotee always wins. So it's very sweet relationship between the Lord and His devotees. So that is what is explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, that Chaitanya Charitamrita, sorry, I have to find, no, Bhagavatam. So that's what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood by any means except bhakti. Thus for a bhakta to become attached to family affairs is impossible, since a bhakta and his associates are liberated. Now this is the second part of the purport, and it's a little I'm a little unqualified to explain this, because like Prabhu yesterday he was mentioning, Srimad Bhagavatam is Paramhamsa Samhita. It's relished and rejoiced by the topmost class of devotees. And so in this particular sloka, it is said that those who are fully attached to Krishna, they are not attached to family affairs. So the thing I can relate to is the bhajan Bhaja Hure Mana, where Govinda Das he prays, both in the day and at night I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I've uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. So there is no assurance of real happiness in, like Govinda Das says, in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons and family members. And it's a sobering idea that you don't have happiness in this material world. So most of the population, we like it's in this song. In the day and at night I remain sleepless. So most of the day we are busy. We are trying to satisfy our senses. We are working. And at the night also, in this day and age, people. I talk to many people on when they come, when they come to the temple, or when I'm on this just distributing something, and most of the people, they share that they have difficulty feeling asleep at night. So, and that's a problem for them. So both in the day and at night I remain sleepless, suffering. So people are suffering because of so much anxiety, so much of dissatisfaction, so much of worry for the future. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I've uselessly served wicked and miserly men. So we, especially in the corporate world today, it's difficult for people to, especially with the bosses, You have so much of, you have to please them in a way. So Chanakya Pandit, he has a nice quote. He says, you should never give up the permanent for the temporary. For something permanent, you should not give up the temporary, because if you do that, you'll lose both. You'll lose what's temporary anyway, because temporary doesn't exist. And at the same time, because you did not invest your time in what was permanent, you'll lose that also. So as devotees, we understand that although family life has its place, it's meant, especially for us who are conditioned souls, it's meant to purify us. But that's not the goal. And so Krishna consciousness with family life, that's what Srila Prabhupada recommended. But just family life, it's you'll really lose the chance to advance. You lose the precious human form of life to actually advance in spiritual life. So that is why the Shastras, they remind us that don't just be attached to family life. I mean, in the history of our movement, we see initially a lot of people, they were living in the temples. And when things like this would come up, it would create a little misunderstanding, and there would be some kind of friction, separation between those who are living in the temples and those who are living outside. But it's not a question of what kind of external circumstances we are in, but what Srila Prabhupada, that's what he taught us. Whatever ashram we are in, grihe tako, vane tako, sada hari bole tako. Whatever ashram we are in, we chant the holy names of Krishna, and that is how we perfect our lives. So everyone is searching after ananda or bliss, but in the material world there can never be any bliss. Right? So it's living in the ashram, it's simple life, You have you do not have to worry about a lot of things. You have a small place to sleep, and then you have your services, and you have a lot of time to invest in your Krishna consciousness. Having said that, for most of us, most of the people in general, it's not the most practical way to live. So when one goes into having a family and having children, then it's explained, it's called ashram. So ashram basically is a place of purification. So grihastha ashram is also a place of purification, because you get to a point where you are not just worrying about yourself. You don't have yourself in the center. You have someone else. You start to see that you have to actually, to be happy, you have to serve someone else. So that is the mindset changes, So I've heard many people who have said that by getting married and having children, they have really changed their perspective on how they see things. So that's what Varnashram system does. It's gradually elevating us to the point. It's gradually purifying us, and to the point where at one point we may become Paramhamsas. So it's in all these, it's nice to think about why they exist, why the Varnashram system exists, and the purpose behind them is actually our purification. So it is only possible in devotional service, Prabhupada says. So bliss is only possible in devotional service. So in the material world, you have pleasure, but you have a lot of pain. You have little bit of pleasure, of course. The ratio is always, it's never in balance. We have the Euro Cup going on right now, So there are so many teams, but only one team wins. So if you have 16 teams, 15 of them, they're disappointed. One of them, one team is very happy. So the ratio is 15:1. So in the material world, it's always like that. You have a lot of pain, you have a little bit of happiness. It's like a rose petal. Rose petal looks very nice, and when you go and pluck it, you have thorns there, and you injure yourself. So that's material life. And we are all in our different realizations. We have our own realizations, and we are all in this, let's say, steps. In the Chaitanya Charitamrit, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, the birds, they fly according to their, let's say, the eagle, it flies very high, and then the sparrow doesn't fly so high, So we all have that level where we can fly, and we all have that a little bit of realization, I think, that material world does not give us happiness. And you can see this in, actually, if you talk to someone, you can see people who have some experience in life, they share this, that it's not what I was looking for. They have a family, nice family, they have a nice job, and at one point they question, it's not there, what I was looking for is not there. So we all have some realization of what the material world gives at the end. It can be said that it's a little pessimistic, a little bleak outlook. You don't see the happiness, you only see the suffering, but it's actually the reality. It's a big bubble, actually. The fact that there is happiness in the material world is a big bubble, and Srimad Bhagavatam it pokes that bubble in. So it's important for us to keep getting reminded on this particular fact. And we forget it very easily, because that's how Maya works. It's here to remind us that there is some happiness. But when we get a little higher taste, then it's easier to give up the lower taste, like Krishna says. So without that higher taste, it's difficult to give up any kind of lower taste. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. So attachment for family affairs and devotional service are incompatible. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was somewhat surprised to hear that Maharaj Priyavrata was simultaneously attached to devotional service and to family life. So I think in that way I can relate that those who are pure devotees, they do not want to again come down to the material platform and enjoy the senses, so to say. So, but we should make sure, I think, that there is not any misunderstanding on this fact, and have some friction or something. In the initial days, I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was sharing. He would go around. He had a big traveling Sankirtan party, the Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan party. And he would go around the temples, and people would be so inspired to join them that the whole temple would almost be empty. They would join the traveling Sankirtan party. So devotees went to Prabhupada and they complained. And then Srila Prabhupada, he asked Tamal Krishna to come, and he said, "They're complaining about you." And Maharaj, he was just a little frustrated, and he said, "Then Srila Prabhupada, I will just either go to the moon or go to China." And he just said that out of frustration or something, because there is nothing in the moon or China, So, and the next day Srila Prabhupada, he called him in his room and, "You said you wanted to go to China? I think you should go to China." And Maharaj, he explains that, "No, Prabhupada, I was joking. I'm just saying it just saying it." But Prabhupada was really adamant that please go to China. And he, at one point, Maharaj was sharing, "I was not willing to surrender, but Prabhupada was asking me to surrender." And at one point Prabhupada said, "You either go to China or you stay in Mayapur and chant. I'll take everything away from you." And at that point he surrendered, and he went to China. So, ashram life, it has importance. It has its, especially for preaching. You have a lot of time, you have a lot of energy, You have the association, so it's important to have a core group of people who go out and preach, because it's difficult when you have a job, when you have a family, to give so much of time in studies and to share it also. But Srila Prabhupada, he says this often, that ISKCON is meant to produce brahmanas, in a way. So brahmanas, their duty is education. They are meant to educate the society. So in every society, when there is not a core group of people who are reading the Shastras and educating it to the public, then that society, we don't have a head. And then there is a lot of chaos there. So the Varnashram system is designed in such a way that there is always a core group of people, like in the ancient times we had advisors to the king, and they would live voluntarily. They would live without money. Because when you do that, the brahmanas, that's their duty. So when you do that, you cannot be bought by money. Like, for example, today we have people who speak, but they cannot speak what they want. Because if they speak what they want, they will be removed from their job, like teachers. So by not getting a salary, then they are free to express what is right and what is wrong. So that concept is very important, that we have some core group of devotees who are dedicated and sharing this knowledge. But again, if we are to spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, we cannot expect that everyone will join the temple, right? Everyone can't join the temple. So in one place in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says in the purport, it was quite interesting. I couldn't find it right now, but he said, it's not that we want a lot of centers. He says that, it's quite interesting. People can have practice Krishna consciousness in their homes. They can have deities. They can worship them there. So he had a very broad vision of spreading Krishna consciousness. In fact, I was hearing, I forgot, but in the LA temple initially, which was a church, Srila Prabhupada actually did not want those pews removed. He wanted people to come in with the shoes, sit there and listen to Bhagavatam. He didn't want them removed somehow. So, he had a broad vision. And it's nice to see also Srila Prabhupada from different angles, from all different ways he would think to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. So the balance is needed of ashram living and people who are staying outside the ashram. So talking about ashram life, people are attracted also to living in some kind of simple life. It's very simple. There is a movement called minimalism. So they focus on limiting down everything, because people nowadays have so many things and it clutters their mind, and they want to live simply with just few things. So that is the concept. Living in an ashram is simple life. So in the manner I saw that there is a Be a Monk challenge. Be a Monk challenge. No, you don't have to stay for long. For 1 week, for 1 month, for 6 months, Just experience ashram life. And it can be a very nice foundation for later on, for anything you do. So even if it's not 6 months, I think it's nice if devotees are also encouraged to join few days, few days in a month. It can really help get this mood of what Krishna consciousness is, what we are doing, and get this simple living concept. So that's important. We are almost there. Anybody who'd like to comment or anything? Yeah. Prabhu raised his hand first. Yeah.
Just in regard to what you said, that, I remember that purport by Prabhupada. I think I was in Cologne in Germany. I gave class on that shloka just recently, and it's interesting. There are some studies also on how religious movement actually can sustain or be successful, or how they fail. And one aspect is a community, like preaching. They did some studies from different religious groups, and most religious groups, they made most of the members through their own members, by having home program and inviting their families and friends. And in this way people joined. But ISKCON was among the few groups that converted new people outside. And in some way, of course it's good to convert people from outside, but often it's quite powerful if your own friends, your own members become part of it. And it's especially because they share it amongst the family and friends. So I think in Krishna consciousness we could do much more in congregational preaching, in the sense that also the Grihasthas, the community members, they actually could, because we can't expect a few brahmacharis spreading the movement around the world nowadays. So I guess it's time for all the members to embrace the preaching spirit and try to share it. So yeah, certainly that's the direction we need to go.
Just a thought on that, and echoing that very interesting anecdote from I think it's Guru Kripa Prabhu. No, it's Gargamuni Prabhu who mentions a story about the LA temple and how Prabhupada wanted the pews to remain, and that brings up the issue of temples. If spreading Krishna consciousness will be done in majority by householders, especially in a theological context, kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kaninoi, where unlike the Advaita Vedantists or unlike the Catholic Church, householders, if empowered by God, are fully eligible and empowered to have all sorts of positions of clergy or ecclesiastical position, guru, GPC, whatever you name it. Then the interesting question is that temples, then, they must really be platforms of equality wherein every member of a given Vaishnava community can represent, Krishna and the Bhagavatam according to their own realizations and their own knowledge of Shastra and so on, equally. And the temples are no longer, unless you're talking about monasteries, where then, okay, you've got some monks and it's closed to the public and, that's fine. But generally speaking, temples are open to the public and therefore have congregations which we hope will develop more and more, especially among local populations, which we don't see very much in the West yet. And they should be really a place, so we have to be really intelligent that householders, of course, in their own home programs and so on, but temples also become a sort of a central beehive, let's say, of representation of Krishna consciousness to the outer world that gives, equal opportunity without any type of discrimination or making it more difficult for different members of the community to represent, and hence, all sorts of cultural issues come up and But this is important because until now, as you you brought up a very interesting, a very important point, namely the demographics of ISKCON, how the demographics of ISKCON have changed drastically from, let's say up to the mid-1980s, and then after, post-mid-1980s, like pre-1980, mid-1980s, ISKCON was basically a big brahmachari ashram, and the few householders who lived there, Krishna blessed them, lived extremely austere lives, basically like monks and nuns, and then you had a few like Ambarish Prabhus or, who were financially independent. And come post-1980s, it's like a complete reversal, whereas now, the main membership of ISKCON is made up of financially independent householders, many of whom are also empowered spiritually to be spiritual leaders, right? And that shift in demographics from a mainly monastic, institution to a mostly, congregational-based movement is probably, we could claim, the biggest change in ISKCON ever in the history that we will ever see in the history of ISKCON. And so all sorts of adjustments still need to be made following that huge demographic shift. Thank you for raising that. Thank you.
Any problem with something?
I want to say only that I see that the mindset of grihastas is different of people who have women, especially women, who have no kids, and when they are getting older, they have a different mindset. And I see this, I'm working with all my lifetime with people outside, not in ISKCON. ISKCON is a family. But outside I see they have a different mindset. That's all that I want to say.
Okay. People have different mindsets, yeah. Anything else? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Nimai Sacisuta Dasa.
Just sing for a short bit if you don't mind. something very interesting. Look at how Prabhupada describes Nitya Siddhas. I spoke to Krishna was read over here. Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha, one who is never forgetful of Krishna throughout his whole life.
This is the essence.
Yeah.
This is the principle. Okay.
But he's not.
But the one, but the one characteristic of Nitya Siddha that came from spiritual. Yes.
But he's not
And
adding to that.
Nitya Siddha is like the partial, the eternal associates of Krishna.
Yeah. But it's not like he's expanding the meaning of Nitya Siddha. He's just, it's like a symptom of the Nitya Siddha. Hare Krishna.
Who did that Jewish?
Which Kivik?
That.
I don't know. I didn't see anybody do Kiviks.
Yeah, you did.
I don't do Kiviks. I have too much in my life. If I start doing Kiviks, they will make me do Kiviks also. That's why I never do Kiviks. Maybe Rashmi did. I don't know who did.
Yeah. Look like her.
You can ask Veera Krishna.
I will put her to do the gigs from Damodar. This is a big help. It's too much. It's too
Yeah, I
much.
think she likes to do it. Okay, I go.
The bag?
Huh?
Bag?
What?
Bag.
Not mine bag.
Ah, okay.
That's my bag.
Okay.
Yeah. question is